You hear about characters taking on a life of their own. Jason was the best example of that I've ever personally encountered. Nobody set out to make him an obnoxious little snot, but he kind of was that.
In 1988, Batman's crazed, white-faced foe, the Joker, captured Jason, beat him to a pulp, and set off an explosion. DC left his fate up to the readers.
If they dialed 1-900 number, he survived the explosion. If they dialed the other, the kid didn't make it. And we waited.
DC received 10,614 calls. The verdict, death, by 72 votes. When the mainstream press got wind of this, they were outraged.
I think most people thought it was Dick Grayson. People had an emotional investment in Robin, even if they hadn't seen a comic book in 20 years. I used to have a little Batman symbol on my jacket lapel. I went into a Fifth Avenue deli to buy a tuna fish sandwich, and the guy looked at that and asked who I was, and I said, I edit Batman. He said, hey, this is the guy that killed Robin!
Batman later found a third Robin, a nice kid named Tim Drake, whom fans did accept. But the death of Jason Todd continues to haunt Batman and Denny O'Neil.
I thought I was a guy writing and editing fiction. I realized that no, the Batman editor and the Superman editor are more than that. We are the custodians of folklore.
And it is time for another car video. Car video, that's what it does, right? Okay. First, congrats to Jesse and Jeff. You make a great couple. You're so adorable. It made me go into insulin shock last night. Okay? So, yeah. Again, so long as she doesn't get too happy, because we still need those angry rants from time to time. Okay, we need her screaming her lungs out. If anything, it might make her make her more, emotional and go wacky. Okay. Couple topics for this morning. Still, some people don't quite get what we're driving, what the 25% difference thing is with Discovery and this is like, it's not gonna be in the premise and all that. This is a licensing thing. They are perfectly able to, they can make the show completely 100% canonical and not change a damn thing. The problem with that, from Secret Hideout's perspective, is that they don't get any of the licensing merchant money. If it's all adherent to canon and nothing is changed, and they're using established things, CBS gets all of that. Secret Hideout doesn't get a damn thing. This is a case of where he has learned from J.J. Well. In order to get any licensing merchant, you gotta make it distinct enough that you can claim it as your own. With the case of Star Wars, the Millennium Falcon with the rectangular dish, C-3PO with a red arm, those are distinctly from JJ. JJ gets a piece of that action. And for Discovery, and I know, personal experience, I can tell you, it's a different license. Because with, as far, like JJ, it's a separate license because Cafe Press, they have a fan portal. People are able to put up their own fan designs on t-shirts, mugs, and it is licensed. It is legal. And you get money and you get paid for that. And they're very specific in what is allowed to be referenced on there. And it's all the original TV series, Next Gen, original series, anime, and the first 10 movies. You specifically cannot reference anything from the JJ movies, though. I tried one. I got a picture where I got the original prize blown up the JJ prize. That was banned immediately. Like within seconds, it got back. Nope. No. So yeah, that's a separate license. And Discovery, all of this stuff that comes out connected with Discovery, it's a separate license. Why do you think Polar Lights is not putting out the, or is just now starting to put out the thing? But it's a separate thing. Different typeface. All of the Star Trek models have that same original series font up there. Discovery models do not. It is a different type. It is a different thing. It's similar, but but it is a separate license. They're paid separately. And also, how do you like Mobius? How they got their little JJ models there? It's a separate license. I think part of that is also because they're such a pain in the ass to deal with. Apparently, Polar Lights had a prototype worked out for a JJ prize. It looked nice. And apparently, it's going to be a big one too, because the primary hull was like 4 different pieces. This would have been big, and if the prototype was the indication, it was clear, so it would have been easily lighted. But they kept dragging their ass on certain things. I guess they wouldn't nail down what size the model actually was. And people want to know, what scale is this model? And JJ is a pain in the butt to be able to bring the merchandise anyway, because there's a few things they dropped the ball on. There was four tie-in novels that were ready to go, printed, I think, on their way to stores, and they pulled the plug on it. Weird. But yeah, you're not going to see this in any of the publicly known stuff, because it's not related to that. It's not it's a merchandising thing. It's internal, because they have to, it has to be 25% different for them to be able to monetize it for themselves. And that's the why it's going from legal, because this is what we legally got to do to make it a separate thing. That's why John East was being told, you got to make this 25% different. And particularly with the design of the Enterprise. Legally, yeah, they could have they could have actually gone to Smithsonian, borrowed that 11-foot model, done some motion capture, some motion control, and used it right there. But Kurtzman and his crew would not have gotten a dime in merchandising. That is why you got to think, this must be 25% different in order for us to claim it for merchandising. That is why, and that's also why it's not showing up in the news. There's no thing mandated, because it's not going to be in there. Okay, this is an internal thing of their own. It's a self policing thing. But it is there, and it has been verified. It's in that damn sketch that they showed at FedCon. It's written there. Johnny's on. Does meet the 25% requirement? Yeah. So please, enough with this mythical thing. There's nothing mythical about it. It's been verified. Okay? Now, on to the broader issue. Care and feeding of your franchise and your fan base. Taika Waititi. Now is not the time for playful trolling. You've got a fan base that is on edge, because we have been fighting this thing, not just with Marvel, but with Star Wars and with Star Trek and Doctor Who, and we're about ready to blow off with this slightest little thing. Now's not the time to poke the bear. And he's poking it big time with his snarky little responses here. And as far as, nope, she's the mighty Thor. That was a mistake by a writer who did not know what the hell she was doing, okay? Or he or she, I don't know, but I understand it was a she. And so just because you're citing the issue doesn't make it right, okay? If the issue was wrong to begin with, guess what? You're still wrong. Thor, Odin's son, is the name, okay? Thor is not a title. Everyone else who was wielded that hammer did not become Thor. They had the powers of Thor, not the name of Thor. Ugh. I mean, this is going into the thing without respect we reject. It's like, for the love of God, okay? The whole reason you latch onto these pre-existing properties is to tap into that fan base. It makes no freaking sense whatsoever to deliberately piss off that fan base. Because where the hell is she gonna go? The normies really couldn't give two craps about this stuff. We're the ones who pay the tickets. We're the ones who are paying your salary, Waititi, okay? We're the ones making it possible for you to make a $100 million movie. So I think a little restraint and a little respect to your audience, to your customers, would go a long way towards calming that. Because look, this was not a well-received storyline. By the end of the day, those sales had dropped down to less than half of what they started off with. That is considered a failed storyline. They couldn't get Thor back on that hammer fast enough. So the usual excuse of, oh, it's canon. Yeah, it's canon from something that didn't work. It's like, you don't see anybody trying to do the Clone Saga, do you? Why? Because it was a freaking failure. People hate that storyline. If somebody had the bright idea to we're going to do the Clone Saga. No, you're not! None of you expect to sell any damn tickets. Like, part of me want to pick up to the slack while Jesse's still deliriously happy with herself. But, oh, God. Little hair thing here. Okay. But yeah, no. Look. Frankly, there's still... no. If this is just a one-and-done thing, or not even the entire movie, where a little Natalie... And that's still the stupid thing. It's like, Natalie Portman, okay? Skinny little Natalie Portman. I probably tower over, for God's sakes, okay? But what's going to happen when she picks up that hammer? Yeah. And it's not a Comic-Con, she's going, yeah. You sure expect us to believe, even in the comics, when they did this, she transformed into a totally different being, okay? I gave you an example, like it's like if she changed into Lucy Lawless. If they do that, and again, if it's just a one and done, at the end of the movie, it's back to Hemsworth wielding the hammer, then fine. But if they try and make it and then, kind of goes the other thing. Stallone's new idea, I guess Stallone trying to pitch a series with him and Dolph Lundgren. Everyone else is listening to him except Disney. They have now explicitly stated they're going strictly female-focused projects. Are you out of your freaking mind? Every project female-centered? You just got to cut off half the audience? For that matter, you think women don't like action movies? I remind you, Aquaman? Do a quick poll of the female audience for Aquaman, okay? They weren't there for Amber Heard. They were there to drool over Jason Momoa, okay? Oh, God. These franchises are being run by morons. Is this Serena? Yep, Serena. Okay, manager. Rob Burnett has a rule, but never put your universe ahead of your characters or your story. I got a more down to earth to correlate. Don't put your agenda above the story or the story or even the universe. If you're doing this to send a message and make a statement, the old saying goes: you want to send a message, call Western Union. Leave the movies and the TV shows out of it. Because that's something I've observed over the years. Rock and roll bands. The ones who their whole thing is they want to change the world. They might have one song. There's a lot of one-hit wonders. We got one song that's trying to make some big, powerful statement. And then you never hear from that group again. Because that's all they've got. They shoot their wad in one song. Because at the end of the day, people want to hear music. They want to see a movie. They want to watch a TV show. They don't want to be lectured to. And if anything, they're watching this stuff or listening to this stuff to get away from all that crap. Okay? Calling it escapist entertainment is not a bad thing. That's what it's for. Okay? To give everyone a break to recharge so that you can go back and deal with that stuff later. But if you're, if it's incredibly encroaching into every damn piece of your life. You wonder why people just, that's it, out. Just cutting the cord, and we're not even dealing with this crap anymore. Okay. It's all. 2019 is not going to be remembered well in fan circles, okay? Because this is the kind of crap we're having to deal with. Producers and studio execs who don't understand what the hell they're doing. I don't know. A lot of them, I don't think we're entertaining people to begin with. They're accountants, bean counters. They're the worst people in the world to put in charge of a creative exercise. Because all they see is numbers, and well, this paid off, let's try this. And basically, no creative vision whatsoever. It's all looking for what's going to pay off, not because here's the story I want to do. And let's dovetail another one. This is why I think Quentin Tarantino doing Star Trek is probably going to be the best thing the franchise has ever seen in decades. One, because he doesn't give a rip about anybody's personal agenda or personal politics, whatever. He wants a good story. That is why that's why he got into movies in the first place, because he wasn't seeing the stories he wanted to see. Let's see if the spirit store's open. Because what I was going to do the other day is hop in their opening day and see what they got for what the state of costume is these days. Unfortunately, they weren't open yet. They're still building. So let's give them and I'm not going to check a date here, so let them do what they're going to do. So that's where we sit right now, guys. I mean, it's been like this for eons anyway, of bean counters running things that don't know what the hell they're doing. That's kind of what killed Star Trek. Because the people who took over Paramount and Desilu, no clue. Wonder why it takes 5 takes to get a scene. I'm doing one. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. The Paramount side could defend themselves better. Desilu couldn't. They didn't have the people who knew how to deal with these idiots. They were kind of spoiled under Lucy. But it's just gotten worse and worse. And it's gonna keep getting that way until somebody gets in charge of one of these operations that has some creative impulse to begin with. As long as it's still run by accountants, then it's just going to continue going off the rails. The activists will keep jerking the thing to say, no, you got to go this way. We got to get this audience, and the audience never shows up. But they don't care because they made their statement. They feel good about themselves. The matter of fact, you just ruined what, in the case of Star Trek, $1 billion a year industry. It was for Paramount. And people think about this. Paramount's no longer pulling in that money. Which means, guess what? The studio's not making and people are getting hurt by this. People are losing jobs because that money's no longer being there. No longer there. The ripple effect, of when these franchises go down. You think the comic sales, are tanking? What? How many people lost their jobs because the comic shop closed? Somebody who was working in the comic shop, store's no longer there because the comics aren't selling because nobody's buying the crap. But they don't care because they made their statement. They got their half Filipino amputee gay superhero, whatever, but didn't care the fact nobody bought it. The people you're appealing to don't go to comic shops, don't buy comics, don't read movies, don't read movies, don't read comics. Because here's a little note to all these accountants who think they're chasing things. You gotta go where the money is. There's no money in that crowd. You better start catering to the old guard, okay, because we're the ones who spend the bucks. And we're the ones who teach our kids that this is what something we're spending your money on. And bring it back to Star Trek. Talk about the fan base dying off. because you're giving us product we do not want to pass on to our kids. Because Mary Weiss was talking about, oh, it's a family show. Really? Your character's own dialogue puts the lie to that. Because they recall that Tilly was the one who delivered Star Trek's first F-bomb. I mean, it was never, even Gene Rams said it was never a family show to begin with. It wasn't Leave It to Beaver. But it was also never rated M for mature, as Discovery is now. So, no. Because while, those interviews I posted with Roddenberry were all, a little happy. It's, I think it'll be gone. There are some more candid moments. I don't think I can find some, like convention appearances. We're talking about, it doesn't matter what your agenda is. If the story is crap, nobody's going to give a rat's about your agenda. It's got to be a good show first. And they seem to have forgotten that part. Also, the big problem is that apparently Kurtzman thinks it is a good show. Because Kurtzman's an idiot. He thinks because he can string together some clever bits of dialogue and some set pieces that he's a good writer. No. Because I think it's probably a generational thing as far as, replicative fading, I think is the term being here, because JJ has come up copying Spielberg for the most part without any of the knowledge or of why Spielberg does the way he does things. And I should look into what Abrams' upbringing was, training was, because let's see, George Lucas went to the USC Film School. I think Spielberg went to UCLA. Let's see, what film school did JJ go to? And are they still teaching the same things they did back when either of the other two went there? Because what I'm seeing now is really more of a cut and paste type of filmmaking now. It's not organic. Like looking at JJ Trek, the first one. A lot of it was just, okay, here's where we need a Michael Bay slow-mo thing, and here's the lens flares are completely artificially generated. There's sort of thing on one of the extras. He's deliberately aiming lights at the camera to get those lens flares. And it's like, it works on Firefly because they were not deliberately going for them. They just happened. Okay. It was an organic part of the scene. The light just happened to get caught. That's what made it real. Because it's a real lens flare. When you're deliberately making them, no, because it's clearly, at this point, nobody's going to want to work an 8-hour shift in that bridge with lights shining directly in your eyes. I love this thing's lit up like a freaking Christmas tree. I think even this little set designer, when they were, again, just going back to when they had a little, some kind of little conference or Q&A thing with, I think, some art designer organization or union. And they had all the Star Trek art designers going back. Matt Jeffers, I think, died by then, but I think he still had a couple of guys who worked on the original series and the movie, Joe Jennings and Herman Zimmerman. And then the guy from JJ Trek who said nothing about the entire thing. Because he had made some rather disparaging comments about the original series bridge. Look at a couple of cardboard boxes shoved together. And then these guys. Herman Zimmerman, when he was working at NBC, he was working on Days of Our Lives at the time, but he was a fan of Star Trek. He was keeping an eye on this. He knew the stuff, which made him invaluable when they started recreating the stuff for Enterprise. But these guys were able to explain why they did what they did, why the bridge was laid out the way it was, what the background was that went into it. And this guy, I'm sure, is feeling like this guy's just stupid. Because, again, he didn't say a damn thing. When I saw that write-up, he didn't say anything. He kept his mouth shut because he had nothing to offer. What he gave us was an Apple store with control panels. Very brightly lit, very shiny little floors, and kind of obvious, undisguised laser scanners on the console. That what, are you going to do a price check up there at the helm? And things just placed willy-nilly around there. It's like, what possible, all these glass screens everywhere. And a windshield on the bridge. The idiocy of which was demonstrated in the movie when he was big blinding glares, What would we do in the old show? Screen off. No, you can't do that with a window, can you? And of course, also all you need is some sniper out in the hull of the other ship with a real good penetrating weapon. The side ends. Yeah, just keep talking while the guys are. Okay, hold it there and then blow a hole right through the window. There we go. Dumb. Just dumb stuff. And they don't know they're being because they're so ignorant of the source material. They don't know they're being idiots. So while on the one hand, no, you don't want to hand it over to the fans because it'll be nothing but fan wank at that point. But you don't want really to hand all these over to people who are willfully ignorant of the source material and continue to be willfully ignorant of the source material. Nick Meyer and Harv Bennett knew nothing about Star Trek, but they learned. They screened those 79 episodes before starting out of there. They learned what the hell they were doing. I don't know if JJ or Kurtzman has screened a single bloody episode yet. I think maybe they're relying on their so-called Trek canon experts, or they're going off memory alpha, which is becoming more and more useless as time goes on because of contamination from JJ and Discovery. All that's memory alpha is used for now is for production history. As far as actual in-universe stuff, forget it. It's useless. They've ruined it. Until somebody goes in and does a root canal and starts separating out, okay, that was a JJ thing, that goes over here. You start sparsing out these timelines. As long as they treat it like it's all one thing, no. I haven't done this in a while, clearly. But we're gonna hopefully get in there soon. I can put this together, and also I can get back to work on a highlight reel of the meetup at Fandom Bar, the Millennium Fandom Bar. And don't be surprised if there's a GoFundMe soon from Mecha Random 42 to get her that 6-string sitar that she's now fallen in love with. And don't begrudge her if she does, because this is what we do on this one. We do it. We do little fundraisers from time to time to get stuff. So, and again, it comes back to the channel. It's for entertaining all of us out here and watching. Okay, so along the lines of stuff we need, anything anybody got any burning to send me anything? Captain Robert April, 4046 North Goldenrod Road, number 115, Winter Park, Florida 32792. And of course, direct support. The links down below. PayPal would be the best one because that's the most direct. But also, I really need more patrons, guys. I got like 2 or 3 people on my patron list. And they really need some support on their own. So, with that all told, we will talk to you later.